Chosen one, pause for a moment. Something sacred is happening right now, and you can feel it. This is not a random video. This is not the algorithm. This is not coincidence passing by your screen. This is divine interruption. Heaven is leaning in, and your spirit knows it. You've felt it your whole life, the quiet difference, the inner depth, the sense that you were somehow walking a path no one else around you could see. You tried to be normal, but normal never fit you. You tried to shrink to make others comfortable, but your soul refused to stay small. And every time you drifted from your calling, something holy pulled you back. Right now, that same presence is pulling you again. Listen closely. Chosen one, God selected you because you carry something that cannot be taught, replaced, duplicated, or destroyed. Since childhood, you have walked through storms others never saw. You faced silent battles no one knew about. You endured emotional pressure, spiritual warfare, sudden losses, unexpected betrayals, and moments where your heart nearly collapsed under the weight of life. And yet you did not break. You did not fold. You did not turn into the darkness that tried to consume you. That resilience is not normal. That strength is not random. That survival is not accidental. It is the evidence of selection. Chosen one. The reason God selected you is woven into every moment you survived when you had no strength left. You were carried by something beyond human endurance. There were nights you shouldn't have made it through. Days where your mind was under attack. Seasons where you felt abandoned, emptied, and overlooked. And yet you rose again. This is what the chosen do. They rise where others fall. They see deeper than others see. They feel the spiritual atmosphere shift before anyone else senses it. They carry light that unsettles every shadow in the room. You have always carried that light, even when you didn't know it. Chosen one. The battles you fought weren't because God abandoned you. They were because heaven marked you. Darkness attacked you early because your destiny was visible in the spiritual realm long before you became aware of it. The enemy saw your potential before you did, but he failed because you're still here. And your survival is the proof that you were selected. There is a reason your heart beats differently. There is a reason you feel things more intensely than others. There is a reason you notice spiritual shifts, emotional undercurrents, and hidden motives with unusual clarity. There is a reason people have tried to dim you, silence you, or pull you down. Your presence disrupts darkness. Your very existence signals a threat to spiritual opposition, and heaven has been protecting you even when you didn't see it. Right now, God is revealing the first truth you must understand before stepping deeper into your calling. You are chosen because you endured what was meant to destroy you. And heaven confirms this through ancient words that still echo with eternal authority. As Jesus himself declared in the Gospel of Matthew, chapter 22, verse 14, "For many are called, but few are chosen." Let that settle into your soul. Sit with it. Feel the weight of it. Many hear the call. Only a few survive the refining. Only a few endure the storms. Only a few rise again after being broken. Only a few maintain purity when surrounded by darkness. Only a few can be entrusted with spiritual authority. Only a few are chosen. And you, yes, you are one of them. Chosen one. The reason your journey has felt heavier is because you were being shaped, not punished. The reason people walked away is because they were never meant to sit in the places God is preparing for you. The reason your spirit feels restless is because heaven is awakening you. Right now, something inside you is rising awareness, clarity, conviction, purpose. This is the moment your soul recognizes the truth it always knew, but never had language for. You were selected by God for a divine assignment. And because this message is not entertainment, because it is alignment, confirmation, and calling, I want you to seal this moment. Not for me, for you, for your destiny, for your spiritual identity. If this resonates with your spirit, if it feels like this message is speaking directly into your soul, then take this step. Like, share, subscribe, and comment the number 999 below to mark the moment heaven spoke to you. This is only the beginning. More will be revealed. You move forward now. Chosen one. Not with a new introduction, but with the weight of revelation still resting on your spirit. What you felt in the first moment was only the doorway. Now you step deeper into the truth of why God marked you long before you ever took your first breath on this earth. You need to understand something sacred. Your story did not begin when you were born. Your calling did not begin when you discovered your gifts. Your purpose did not begin when life became difficult. Your existence was spoken into the fabric of eternity long before your physical body ever formed. Before your mother knew you, before your parents planned you, before the world shaped you, heaven had already written you into its divine narrative. Chosen one. There is a reason you never fit the mold of those around you. You were never designed in the image of the world. You were designed according to divine intention. You came into this world with an unseen fingerprint of heaven pressed upon your spirit. You carried a spiritual frequency that could not be silenced, hidden, or erased, even when life tried to bury it under trauma, pressure, and expectations. And whether you realized it or not, that mark made you different from the very beginning. Think back to your childhood, the way you felt things others ignored, the way you sensed danger before it arrived, the way you recognized lies behind smiles, the way you carried wisdom beyond your years. None of that was accidental. That inner knowing that followed you, that strange intuition, that spiritual sensitivity you tried to explain, but couldn't. Those were the early signs of someone heaven handpicked. You did not learn to be different. You were born different. You did not decide to be sensitive to the spiritual world. Your spirit came into this life already awake. You did not stumble into purpose. Purpose was woven into your being like threads of divine fire. Some people are shaped by life. Chosen ones are shaped by destiny. You were not reacting to what happened to you. You were responding to what was placed inside of you before you ever arrived. There were moments where you wondered, why am I like this? Why do I feel so deeply? Why do I notice things others overlook? Why do my emotions stretch wider than the world around me understands? The answer is simple, yet profound. Because God marked you. And that mark is ancient. It is eternal. It is unshakable. It is the reason darkness recognized you early. It is the reason warfare found you before you understood who you were. It is the reason you grew up feeling both out of place and strangely guided. You are not a random creation. You are a written intention, a divine idea wrapped in human form. And heaven revealed this truth long ago through sacred words that still shake the spirit of every chosen one who hears them. The Spirit spoke through the prophet Jeremiah. Chapter 1, verse 5. Before I formed you in the womb, I knew you. Before you were born, I set you apart. Let every word of that sink into you. Before life wounded you, before people misunderstood you, before you walked through darkness, before you questioned your worth, God knew you. He knew your strength. He knew your heart. He knew your battles. He knew your purpose. You were not an afterthought. You were appointed. You were not an accident. You were assigned. Chosen one. The reason you survived the early storms is because heaven had already spoken your name into the future. The reason you walked through fire without losing your soul is because you were protected by a calling that existed before your body did. Every moment where you felt lost was still guided. Every moment where you felt alone was still watched. Every moment where you felt abandoned was still held. You are here now, not because you fought your way into existence, but because your existence was declared before time began. And this is why the world could never define you, because the world did not create you, even when you tried to be like everyone else. Something inside you resisted. Even when you tried to silence your intuition, it grew louder. Even when you tried to deny your purpose, life kept pulling you toward it. You were marked. Marked for assignment. Marked for spiritual authority. Marked for impact. And nothing, no failure, nor darkness, nor trauma, no betrayal could erase what heaven inscribed upon your soul. Today, you are not discovering your identity. You are remembering it. You are awakening to what heaven already knew. You were chosen before you were born. You continue walking deeper. Chosen one. The realization of being known before birth still echoes inside you. But now, another truth rises to the surface, one that explains why your life has held so much weight, so much pressure, so much pain. Because chosen vessels are forged in fire. From the outside, it looked like you were simply unlucky, misunderstood, or constantly walking into storms. But spiritually, something far greater was happening. The weight you carried was not punishment. It was evidence. Evidence of divine selection. Evidence of spiritual assignment. Evidence that heaven had placed something inside of you that needed refining, strengthening, tempering, and awakening. Chosen one. You have to understand this. The hardest seasons of your life were not random events. They were spiritual confirmations. Look back, truly look. Notice how early the pressure began. Notice how young you were when heaviness first touched your heart. Notice how often you were forced to grow up before your time. While others walked through life with ease, you walked with burdens on your shoulders that no one ever saw. You were the quiet stronghold, the emotional backbone, the one who carried unspoken responsibilities, the one who suffered silently so others could remain whole. And you wondered why. You questioned why. You blamed yourself at times. But nothing was wrong with you. Something was chosen about you. The weight you carried was proof that heaven trusted you with battles that would have crushed weaker souls. You were not fragile. You were forged. And every storm you survived shaped your spiritual authority. There were days you held in tears because no one would understand. Nights you sat awake, asking God why your heart hurt so much. Moments where your mind felt stretched beyond breaking, and still you kept moving. Still, you got up again. Still, you held on to hope, even when hope felt thin. Chosen one. This is what sets you apart. Your spirit does not kit. Your heart does not harden. Your soul refuses to give in to darkness. Where others gave up, you pressed forward. Where others collapsed, you rose again. Where others turned bitter, you stayed tender. That is the mark of someone who carries a divine mantle, and heaven confirms the meaning of your endurance with ancient words that still hold power today. The ancient words recorded in Romans still echo with truth. Romans chapter 8, verse 28. And we know that in all things God works for the good of those who love him, who have been called according to his purpose. Everything you survived, every heartbreak, every betrayal, every loss, every disappointment, it was all forming something inside you. Nothing was wasted. Nothing was pointless. Even the seasons where you felt abandoned were the seasons where God was shaping your spiritual identity. Your pain produced wisdom. Your battles produced sensitivity. Your scars produced compassion. Your endurance produced authority. Chosen one. You carry a depth that most people never reach in their entire lives. You feel deeply because you were designed to heal deeply. You hurt deeply because you were meant to impact deeply. You struggle deeply because your calling reaches deeply into the world around you. And here is the truth you must finally accept. The weight you carried was proof that you were trusted with more. When God selects someone for a higher purpose, he allows them to walk through fire, not to burn them, but to build them. And that is exactly what happened to you. The world saw struggle, but heaven saw shaping. You were never being crushed. You were being crafted. You were becoming the kind of person who can carry spiritual authority with humility, compassion, and strength. And because of everything you endured, your presence now carries weight. People feel safe around you without knowing why. People open up to you without explanation. People lean on you instinctively. Your spirit emits stability. Even when you don't feel stable, your heart emits comfort. Even when you feel exhausted, your soul emits wisdom. Even when you question yourself. This is the paradox of the chosen. The very battles that nearly broke you became the reason others are drawn to your light. Now, chosen one, I need you to do something simple but spiritually significant. Write this phrase in the comments. I receive strength. Only 3 words, but they carry weight. Why? Because your journey has been so heavy that your spirit needs to declare, even silently, that you are no longer carrying this weight alone. When you write it, you align yourself with the truth that God never expected you to carry everything by yourself. It is an act of release, of acceptance, of partnership with heaven. Write it as a declaration over your past. Write it as a reminder for your present. Write it as empowerment for your future. Let the words settle into your bones. I receive strength. You keep moving forward now. Chosen one, carrying with you the revelations of your endurance and the truth that your battles were never meaningless. But as you step into this next layer, another reality becomes clear. One, many people around you never understood, yet you felt it every single day. Your light has always disturbed darkness. From the moment you entered certain rooms, the atmosphere shifted. People who carried hidden intentions felt exposed. Individuals who operated in manipulation, envy, or deception grew uncomfortable around you. And even without speaking, your presence stirred reactions you couldn't explain at the time: coldness from some, hostility from others, and a strange sense of intimidation from people you barely knew. Chosen one. This wasn't because you did anything wrong. It was because your spirit carries illumination. You were born with a glow that threatened those who preferred to hide in shadows. You carried honesty that disrupted lies. You carried sincerity that made pretenders nervous. You carried purity that irritated corruption. And every time you walked into a space, your light revealed what darkness worked so hard to conceal. This is why some people disliked you without reason. This is why certain individuals judged you before knowing you. This is why envy often hunted you quietly. Even from those who claimed to support you, your spirit threatened their comfort. Your presence threatened their masks. Your light threatened their hidden agendas. Even as a child, you noticed the strange reactions. You sensed tension before conflict erupted. You felt spiritual heaviness in environments no one else paid attention to. You sensed danger in people others trusted blindly. And because you didn't understand your gift yet, you wondered if something was wrong with you. But the truth is the opposite. Everything was right with you. Your discernment was active long before you had the language for it. Your inner knowing was alive before anyone ever taught you about spiritual sensitivity. And the reason darkness reacted to you was simple. You carried something from heaven that darkness could not withstand. Chosen one. Your light exposes motives without you trying. Your spirit reveals truth without a single word. That is why people who carried hidden pain or brokenness felt drawn to you. They sensed safety in your presence. At the same time, people who carried hidden malice or jealousy felt uneasy. They sensed exposure. Even your silence carried authority. And heaven spoke of this long before you were born, recording words that describe exactly what you carry. According to what is revealed in the book of Proverbs, chapter 4, verse 18, the path of the righteous is like the morning sun, shining ever brighter till the full light of day. Your path shines brighter because you are not ordinary. Your life carries illumination because you were chosen to walk in clarity. Your presence emits truth because you are aligned with the divine. This is why spiritual attacks came at you unexpectedly. This is why negative people targeted you without cause. This is why certain relationships fell apart the moment you started growing. Light exposes what darkness tries to hide, and your growth became a threat to anyone unwilling to grow with you. But understand this: your light is not only a weapon, it is a responsibility. When God selects someone to carry illumination, He also prepares them to handle spiritual reactions. And that is exactly what happened to you. Your experiences trained your discernment. Your battles sharpened your intuition. Your isolation strengthened your connection to truth. You learned to read energy without explanation. You learned to sense spiritual danger without evidence. You learned to detect dishonesty without proof. You didn't ask for these abilities. They came with your calling. Chosen one. You were never meant to live in the shadows. Your spirit was crafted to illuminate. And though darkness tried to silence you, dim you, confuse you, or pull you away from your identity, it failed every time. Because nothing can extinguish a light God Himself ignited. And now you begin to understand. Your light has always been a sign of your purpose. Your opposition has always been a sign of your impact. Your discernment has always been a sign of your selection. You were not meant to fit into dark places. You were meant to reveal them. You were not meant to fear spiritual conflict. You were meant to expose it. You were not meant to shrink. You were meant to shine. And as you continue your journey, this truth becomes clearer with every step. Your light disturbs darkness because your destiny destroys it. You move forward now, chosen one, carrying the understanding that your light has always unsettled darkness. But there is another layer to your journey, one most people never saw. Though it shaped every part of who you have become, it is the hidden training season, the silent shaping, the private transformation that no one applauded, no one praised, and no one even noticed. Every chosen one walks through a time when God trains them away from public view, a time where nothing seems to move, where prayers feel unanswered, where progress feels invisible, and yet, deep beneath the surface, heaven is crafting something powerful. Think of yourself like a seed placed in the soil. When the seed is buried, it looks like death. It looks like darkness. It looks like isolation. But underground, out of sight, something divine is happening. The seed is breaking open. The roots are forming. Life is awakening. Your hidden season was exactly that. People saw you withdraw and assumed you were weak. People watched your silence and assumed you were lost. People noticed your absence and assumed you were failing. But God knew better. He was not burying you, He was planting you. Chosen one. The nights where you cried quietly into your pillow, the days when your heart felt like a cracked vessel, the moments when you had no one to call, no one to lean on. These were not signs of abandonment. They were signs of formation. Just like a sculptor shapes stone with careful strikes, God shaped you with gentle yet precise pressure. Every heartbreak softened what needed softening. Every disappointment sharpened your discernment. Every delay strengthened your spirit. Every silent season taught you to hear God's whisper instead of the world's noise. You were trained in stillness. You were shaped in solitude. You were refined in quiet places no one else witnessed. And because of that, your foundation is unshakable. Heaven speaks clearly through the words in Deuteronomy, chapter 31, verse 6. Be strong and courageous. Do not be afraid or terrified. For the Lord your God goes with you. He will never leave you nor forsake you. You were never alone in your hidden season. You were accompanied. You were strengthened. You were prepared. Think of the way gold is purified. The fire does not destroy it. It removes everything that doesn't belong. That was your refining. Think of how a diamond forms under unimaginable pressure. That was your transformation. Think of how a sword is forged by fire, hammered into shape, cooled, then reheated again. That was your spiritual training. You were being forged into someone darkness cannot intimidate. Yet no one knew the cost of your strength. They saw the resilience, but not the breaking. They saw the wisdom, but not the nights you begged God for clarity. They admired your courage, but did not see the battles you fought, just to stand again. They leaned on your light, but did not witness the hours you spent in the dark searching for your own. Your hidden season made you into someone rare, someone stable in storms, someone steady in chaos, someone unshaken by what destroys others. And now, as you step further into your calling, I want to speak directly to your heart with sincerity. This journey, we are walking together, this path of revelation, healing, and awakening it isn't something I take lightly. Every message I create takes time, intention, spiritual sensitivity, and deep emotional labor. If these words have helped you, strengthened you, or awakened something inside you, I want to invite you gently, respectfully, from the heart, to help keep this mission alive. If you feel led, if you feel blessed, if you feel connected to this calling, you can like, share, subscribe, and even donate if your heart feels moved, not out of obligation, not out of pressure, but as a way of watering the very soil that is watering you. Think of it like this: when a well nourishes you, you help keep the well flowing. When a lighthouse guides ships, people support the light to help others find safety too. When a fire warms you in the cold, adding wood keeps the flame alive for the next traveler. Your support is not about money, it's about partnership. It fuels the work, extends the reach, and ensures that other chosen ones, those who feel alone, those who feel forgotten, those who are where you once were, can receive the same light you are receiving now. Your journey matters. Your voice matters. Your presence matters. And if you choose to support, it becomes part of the legacy of every life touched after yours. But hear me clearly: whether you give or not, you remain chosen. Whether you donate or not, you are still seen, still guided, still held by God. Your value is never measured by contribution, it is measured by calling. You were trained in hidden places because your future will not be small. You were refined in silence because your voice will change others. You were prepared in darkness because your light will guide many. Your hidden season was not the end, it was the beginning of your rise. You move forward now, chosen one, carrying the understanding of your hidden training season, how God shaped you in silence, refined you in stillness, and planted you in places where no one could see the growth taking place beneath the surface. But now you step into another truth, one that once wounded you, but now reveals divine protection. Not everyone was meant to stay with you. Every person who walked away, every friendship that faded, every relationship that collapsed, every connection that broke unexpectedly, none of it was accidental. None of it was random. None of it was rejection. It was redirection. It was protection. It was spiritual pruning. People did not leave you because you lacked worth. They left because they could not walk the road destined for the chosen one. There are layers to your calling that certain individuals were not built to understand. Some people were only meant to be temporary characters in a permanent story. Some were lesson, not life partners. Some were seasonal helpers, not eternal companions. And some were spiritual distractions sent to delay your purpose. But you didn't know that at the time, so their departure felt personal. It felt heavy. It felt painful. You gave love, they did not return. You offered loyalty, they did not value. You showed kindness, they did not reciprocate. And when they left, you questioned yourself. You wondered what you did wrong. You blamed your heart for being too open. You blamed your spirit for being too soft. You blamed your love for being too deep. But here is the truth. Heaven wants you to finally understand. Their leaving was not a loss. It was a lifting. God lifted them out of your life because they could not carry what was coming next. Some people could walk with you in brokenness, but not in healing. Some could accompany you in confusion, but not in clarity. Some could handle you wounded, but not rising. Your elevation threatened them. Your growth exposed them. Your light revealed what they tried to hide, and so they left, or God removed them. Sometimes He closes doors gently. Other times He rips them closed abruptly, not to hurt you, but to save you. Heaven speaks through the writings of David in the Psalms. Psalms chapter 34, verse 19. Many are the afflictions of the righteous, but the Lord delivers him out of them all. You were delivered. Chosen one. Delivered from people who would have weakened your identity. Delivered from circles that could not handle your spiritual sensitivity. Delivered from relationships that would have dimmed your light. Delivered from atmospheres that were never meant to hold your destiny. Think about this. Every person who left created space for someone aligned with your purpose. Every betrayal taught you discernment. Every disappointment taught you to listen to your intuition. Every ending prepared you for new beginnings that require strength, clarity, and spiritual maturity. Your heart did not fail. Your trust was not wasted. Your love was not a mistake. Those experiences shaped you. They trained your spirit. They refined your understanding of people. Today, you love differently, with wisdom, not naivety, with boundaries, not fear, with discernment, not blindness. What once felt like abandonment now reveals itself as divine strategy, because if certain people had stayed in your life, they would have held you back. They would have drained your spirit. They would have clipped your wings. They would have slowed your calling. They would have distorted your identity. You are not who you used to be. Your spiritual capacity has increased. Your discernment has sharpened. Your awareness has deepened. Your purpose has awakened. And not everyone could rise with you. Chosen one. Hear this with your spirit, not just your ears. When God elevates you, He isolates you first. When God expands you, He reduces your circle. When God prepares you, He removes what cannot go with you. Those who left were never part of your next chapter. Their exit was choreography. Their silence was instruction. Their absence was protection. Now that you see the truth, you no longer need to mourn what walked away. You can release it. You can bless it. You can rise from it. Because what is coming to you is weighty. What is aligned with you is holy. What is assigned to you is divine. And the people meant to walk with you will recognize your spirit, honor your light, and match your growth. To seal this moment of clarity, chosen one, write a simple number in the comments, a number that signifies release, acceptance, and alignment. Comment 444. This number marks your readiness to move forward free of the weight of those who were never meant to stay. You step forward again. Chosen one, carrying the understanding that those who left your life were never meant to stay. Their absence was a doorway, not a wound. And now you begin to see the larger picture, the truth that heaven has been guiding you toward all along. You were chosen because there is an assignment on your life. This assignment is not a job, a hobby, or a momentary passion. It is something deeper, something woven into your soul, something rooted in eternity, something that has followed you through every season without you fully realizing it. Your entire life has carried signs of this assignment. Subtle hints, quiet nudges, inner pulls you couldn't explain. Times you felt responsible for others in ways no one else understood. Times you felt compelled to comfort, protect, or guide someone even when you were struggling yourself. Times you sensed danger, deception, or spiritual heaviness before any evidence appeared. Times you felt compelled to speak truth even when your voice trembled. Chosen one. These were not coincidences. They were signals. They were reminders. They were moments where your assignment surfaced from within. Every chosen one carries a divine task, one that only they can fulfill, one that matches their unique pain, their unique strengths, their unique heart, their unique spirit. Your assignment is the reason you feel things so deeply. It is the reason you see through people so quickly. It is the reason you feel spiritually alert, even when you wish you could disconnect. You are wired differently because heaven crafted you with purpose. Some people wander through life with no direction, no clarity, no sense of meaning. But you, even in confusion, even in chaos, even in seasons where everything felt dark, there was always a quiet knowing in your spirit that you were meant for something more, something bigger, something beyond yourself. That knowing was your assignment, whispering to you, chosen one. The assignment on your life is not small. It is not fragile. It is not ordinary. It is weighty. It is sacred. It is transformational. This is why your life never fit into the pattern of others. You couldn't settle where others settled. You couldn't compromise where others compromised. You couldn't numb yourself the way others did. Your spirit rebelled against mediocrity. Your soul resisted anything that dimmed your truth. Your heart refused to stay in places that drained your light. That resistance was not stubbornness. It was spiritual alignment. Think of Moses, how he could not find peace in the palace because his assignment was tied to the wilderness. Think of Joseph, how he could not remain unnoticed because his dreams carried prophetic weight. Think of Esther, how her beauty was not vanity but strategy for deliverance. Like them, your assignment shaped your life long before you were aware of it. There were moments where God pushed you out of comfort so you could grow. Moments where He separated you from certain people to protect your calling. Moments where He slowed you down so you wouldn't sprint into destruction. Moments where He let things fall apart so your true direction could appear. Every closed door, every unexpected shift, every painful ending was preparing you, not punishing you. Your assignment requires someone who can feel deeply, discern clearly, love genuinely, and endure spiritually. All the things your life has taught you to become. Your scars became tools. Your heartbreaks became lessons. Your losses became clarity. And through it all, heaven spoke promises to strengthen you. As the prophet wrote in the scroll of Habakkuk, chapter 2, verse 3, "For the vision awaits its appointed time. It hastens to the end, it will not lie. Though it lingers, wait for it, it will surely come." Your assignment has an appointed time. It will unfold exactly when it is meant to. It will awaken fully when the preparation is complete. You have not missed your purpose. You have not fallen behind. You have not been overlooked. Every delay was protection. Every pause was development. Every quiet season was refinement. And now, the assignment within you is starting to rise. You can feel it in the shifting of your priorities, in the changing of your desires, in the awakening of your spirit, in the weight you feel in certain moments that you cannot explain. This is not anxiety, it is activation. It is the stirring of destiny. It is the quiet rumbling of a calling that refuses to stay silent any longer. Chosen one, heaven is preparing you to step into the fullness of what has always been yours. Not because you earned it, but because you were made for it. You move forward now, chosen one, stepping into the awareness that your life carries a divine assignment, one that has shaped your steps, your battles, and your becoming. But there is another truth you must face. One that you lived with for years without ever understanding its spiritual meaning. You are more sensitive to the Spirit than most people around you. This sensitivity was not taught to you. It was born into you. It was woven into your soul long before you had language for it. Moments where He let things fall apart so your true direction could appear. Every closed door, every unexpected shift, every painful ending was preparing you, not punishing you. Your assignment requires someone who can feel deeply, discern clearly, love genuinely, and endure spiritually. All the things your life has taught you to become. Your scars became tools. Your heartbreaks became lessons. Your losses became clarity. And through it all, heaven spoke promises to strengthen you. Chosen one. Heaven is preparing you to step into the fullness of what has always been yours. Not because you earned it, but because you were made for it. This is spiritual design. Your sensitivity is the reason your spirit reacts strongly to things that others are numb to. It is why you can't tolerate dishonesty, manipulation, or hidden motives. It is why your body tenses when someone harmful walks into your space. It is why you feel drained around certain people and uplifted around others. Because you are spiritually tuned. You are spiritually awakened. You are spiritually receptive. Some people live their whole lives spiritually asleep. But you have never been able to sleep fully. Even in your darkest seasons, something inside you always stayed alert, aware, and connected. This is why your emotions have always been deep. This is why your reactions have always been intense. This is why you often felt like you carried the atmosphere of a room inside your own chest. Chosen one. Your sensitivity is a gift, but it is a gift that came with weight. Even as a child, you felt what others ignored. You sensed tension before an argument erupted. You noticed sadness behind someone's forced smile. You felt heaviness in rooms that looked cheerful to everyone else. You read people's intentions before their words formed, and though you tried to dismiss it or hide it, or numb it, or silence it, your sensitivity only grew stronger. Chosen one. Your ability to feel is not a weakness. It is a spiritual instrument, a divine antenna. For years, you may have wondered, why am I like this? Why do I feel so much? Why can't I turn it off? But hear this clearly. You were never meant to turn it off. God did not give you sensitivity so you could bury it. He gave it so you could walk in your assignment. Your sensitivity helped you avoid relationships that would have destroyed you. It helped you recognize truth before deception took root. It helped you escape traps you never knew were being set. It helped you protect people who had no idea what danger was near. And most importantly, it kept you connected to heaven's voice, even when you drifted from your path. The apostle reminds us in his letter to the Corinthians, 1 Corinthians, chapter 2, verse 14. But the person without the Spirit does not accept the things that come from the Spirit of God, for they are foolishness to them, and they cannot understand them, because they are discerned only through the Spirit. You have always discerned things others could not understand. You were sensing what their spirit could not register. You were hearing what their soul was not tuned to hear. You were feeling what their hearts were not open enough to feel. This is why conversations sometimes felt lonely. Why you felt misunderstood, even in crowds. Why people dismissed your warnings until the truth unfolded. Why you often saw the downfall of relationships long before they cracked. Your spiritual sensitivity gave you sight before sight. understanding before explanation, discernment before evidence. This is not a burden, it is a mantle. And now that you are awakening to who you truly are, your sensitivity becomes less confusing and more purposeful. You begin to see it not as an emotional flaw, but as a divine tool, one that guides you, protects you, and positions you exactly where heaven needs you to be. Your senses are not random. Your intuition is not accidental. Your inner voice is not imaginary. You feel deeply because you were meant to heal deeply. You see clearly because you were meant to lead clearly. You sense spiritually because you were meant to battle spiritually. Nothing about your sensitivity is ordinary. It is the signature of someone heaven trusts. And now, chosen one, you are learning to embrace what once made you feel different. You are spiritually awake in a world full of sleepers. You step further now, chosen one, carrying the awareness that your sensitivity to the Spirit has always set you apart. But with that sensitivity came another reality, one you lived through without being able to explain, one that left scars, confusion, and unanswered questions. Darkness targeted you more than others. You weren't imagining it. You weren't overreacting. You weren't too emotional. There was a spiritual reason behind the intensity of your battles. From a young age, you experienced pressure others didn't. You faced emotional storms that came without warning. You endured spiritual heaviness you didn't have words for. You encountered people who tried to break your spirit, drain your energy, or silence your light. And while others around you moved through life with ease, your path felt like warfare in your mind, in your relationships, in your spirit, in your identity. Chosen one. This wasn't because something was wrong with you, it was because something powerful was inside you. Darkness does not fight what is empty. It fights what is destined. It fights what is anointed. It fights what threatens its agenda. You were born carrying spiritual potential that the enemy recognized long before you recognized it yourself. Like someone carrying a torch through a forest at night. Your light was visible even when you didn't know you were glowing. This is why you attracted jealous people without reason. Why manipulators tried to attach themselves to you. Why narcissists were drawn to your compassion. Why broken people clung to you while draining you. Why spiritual attacks came in waves whenever you were close to healing or breakthrough. Your spirit was a threat. Your heart was a threat. Your destiny was a threat. And darkness hoped to break you before you discovered who you truly were. Think about how many times you felt overwhelmed for no visible reason. How often you felt fear that didn't match your circumstances. How some mornings felt heavy even though nothing bad happened. How some places or people triggered a sudden tightening in your chest. These weren't random emotional shifts. They were spiritual collisions. Your spirit was picking up warfare invisible to the physical eye. Your emotions felt the tremors of unseen resistance. Your intuition detected danger, masked behind smiles or opportunities. You were a target because you were chosen. And chosen ones carry spiritual impact, whether they realize it or not. Heaven speaks about this battle in the sacred texts of old. Ephesians, chapter 6, verse 12. For our struggle is not against flesh and blood, but against rulers, authorities, and powers of this dark world. Your whole life, you were fighting battles you couldn't name, not arguments with people, spiritual pressures operating through them, not emotional breakdowns, attacks designed to silence your purpose, not random fear. Warfare aimed at your calling. And yet, here you are, still standing, still sensitive, still carrying light, still feeling God tugging on your soul. That is the evidence of divine protection. If darkness truly had its way, you wouldn't be here reading this. Awakening, rising. Every attack that came against you failed. Every plan designed to break you only strengthened you. Every season meant to destroy you became the season where you grew the most. You learned resilience. You learned discernment. You learned spiritual awareness. You learned emotional intelligence. And now, darkness fears you because you see through it, because you won't fall for the same traps, because your spirit is awake, because your assignment is activating. You are stepping into clarity, power, and understanding. Your wounds are turning into wisdom, your tears into discernment, your heaviness into strength, your sensitivity into authority. And now, at this moment, heaven needs you to acknowledge something. You are not a victim of spiritual warfare. You are a survivor of it. More than that, you are becoming a warrior. To seal this moment of recognition, I want you to write a short phrase in the comments, something under 4 words, but carrying deep spiritual meaning. I stand firm. Write it not as a wish, but as a declaration. Write it because every attack you survived proves your strength. Write it because firmness is the posture of someone who is no longer confused by their battles. Write it because you are no longer allowing darkness to interpret your story. When you comment, I stand firm, you align your spirit with truth, that you are no longer shaken, no longer unaware, no longer manipulated by spiritual opposition. You are awakening into authority, and darkness knows it, and heaven celebrates it. You step forward again, chosen one, carrying the revelation that darkness targeted you because of the light within you. But now, another truth rises, one that explains the resilience inside you, the power that awakens in you whenever life presses you, the strength that comes alive in moments others would collapse under. You carry what heaven calls the breaker anointing. This anointing is not gentle. It is not passive. It is not quiet. It is the kind of spiritual power that breaks patterns, dismantèle le cycle, and destroys chains that have bound families, bloodlines, and generations. And you have felt this power inside you your entire life, even when you didn't know its name. You were always the one who refused to repeat what hurt you. You were always the one who questioned what others blindly accepted. You were always the one who sensed that certain behaviors, addictions, and emotional patterns needed to end with you. You were always the one who felt called to rise higher, even when no one else around you wanted to grow. This was the breaker stirring inside your spirit. Think of a hammer striking a stone. Each strike looks small, but eventually the whole structure cracks open. That has been you. Every time you chose healing over bitterness, the stone cracked. Every time you chose forgiveness over revenge, the stone cracked. Every time you walked away instead of repeating the same toxic cycles, the stone cracked. Every time you said, "This ends with me," the stone cracked. And now you are standing at the point where the entire structure, the generational weight, the inherited battles, the spiritual patterns begins to fall apart. Chosen one, heaven has placed a breaker's mantle on your shoulders. This is why your life has never been simple. why your battles felt heavier, why your struggles seemed deeper than those around you. You were not just fighting for yourself. You were fighting for everyone connected to you, even those who came before you. You were the one chosen to break the cycle. The voice of God thundered in the book of Exodus, chapter 14, verse 14. The Lord will fight for you. You need only to be still. And that is exactly what the breaker anointing feels like. A divine force fighting through you, fighting for you, fighting ahead of you. But power like this doesn't come without pressure. Gold is forged in fire. Diamonds are formed through crushing weight. Waves become powerful by crashing against resistance. Oaks only grow strong by enduring storms. Your strength came from resistance. Your anointing came from your suffering. Your wisdom came from your wounds. Your authority came from what tried and failed to destroy you. The breaker anointing makes you different. It makes you unstoppable. It makes you someone darkness cannot intimidate. It makes you someone who rises over and over again, even when others cannot understand how. But I want to speak to you sincerely now, from a place of humility and honor. This journey, this spiritual guidance, this storytelling, this revelation, this ministry of words is something I pour my heart into because I know what it feels like to walk alone, to awaken alone, to carry divine weight without support. And if these messages have strengthened you, guided you, or awakened something deep inside you, I want to invite you gently, never with pressure, to partner with what is being built here. You can like, share, subscribe, or even donate if you feel led. Think of it like tending a sacred fire. When the flame warms you, adding a piece of wood keeps the warmth going for others who arrive in the cold. Or like a lighthouse on a cliff, when it guides your ship to safety, helping keep the light shining ensures other travelers will not be lost in the storm. Or like a well in the desert, if its water nourishes you, helping replenish it ensures it does not run dry for the next thirsty soul. Your support does not buy blessings. It sustains the space where many are discovering theirs. If your heart feels moved, your contribution becomes part of the impact that reaches every chosen one who is still searching for truth, clarity, and awakening. But hear this clearly: you are never obligated. Your value is not measured by giving. Your calling is not determined by contribution. This is an invitation, not an expectation. Love, not pressure. Honesty, not demand. Because at the core of everything, chosen one, your destiny is priceless. Your calling is sacred. Your anointing is powerful. And your rise is unstoppable. You are the breaker in your bloodline. You are the one heaven trusts with transformation. And your journey is only beginning. You move forward now, chosen one, carrying the understanding that you are the breaker in your bloodline. But as you step deeper, another truth rises, one that explains so many chapters of your life that once felt confusing, lonely, or painful. You were isolated because heaven mandated it. This isolation was not emotional weakness. It was not social inadequacy. It was not a flaw in your personality. It was a divine strategy. Chosen ones are not raised in crowds. They are shaped in solitude. And you know this intimately. You have walked through seasons where the silence felt heavy, where you were surrounded by people yet felt unseen, where your heart longed for connection, but your spirit felt pulled away. where every attempt to fit into certain circles left you spiritually drained, where being alone hurt, but being around the wrong people hurt even more. What felt like abandonment was actually alignment. What felt like rejection was actually redirection. What felt like emptiness was actually elevation. Heaven separated you because your calling required clarity, purity, and spiritual sensitivity that could not survive in the noise. Think about it. A prophet cannot hear in crowds. A warrior cannot train in comfort. A healer cannot grow in chaos. A leader cannot rise in distraction. You were called to become all of these. So God pulled you away long before you understood why. Some people drifted from your life without explanation. Some friendships faded without conflict. Some relationships collapsed despite your loyalty. Some environments became uncomfortable overnight. You tried to hold on, but heaven kept pulling you out, pulling you from the places that would limit you, pulling you from the people who would drain you, pulling you from the cycles you were meant to break, pulling you from the noise that would drown out your purpose. Your spirit felt isolated because your calling required separation. Even Jesus withdrew into the wilderness. Even Moses was shaped in isolation. Even David grew in obscurity before stepping into destiny. Isolation is not punishment for the chosen, it is preparation. You were isolated so you could learn to hear God without interference, so you could grow without external influence, so you could heal without distraction, so you could see the truth about people when the noise faded, so you could discover who you were apart from expectations. Isolation sharpened your spirit. It awakened your discernment. It revealed hidden motives. It exposed false attachments. It stripped away your dependence on others. It forced you into divine dependence. The Spirit spoke through the prophet Elijah, and his journey mirrors your own, as was spoken in the sacred texts of old. 1 Kings, chapter 19, verse 12. And after the earthquake a fire, but the Lord was not in the fire. And after the fire, a still small voice. You found God not in the chaos of people, but in the stillness, in the quiet moments where your heart had no one else to turn to, in the nights where you poured your pain into the heavens, in the mornings where you rose despite the weight on your chest. The still small voice that whispered in your soul grew clearer, only because isolation made space for it. Chosen one. You must understand this now. Isolation built your inner strength. It taught you to walk alone without collapsing. It trained you to rely on spiritual insight rather than social approval. It prepared you to carry assignments that others would not understand. If you had stayed surrounded by the wrong people, their voices would have drowned out your calling. If you had remained in certain environments, your spirit would have grown numb. If you had kept certain connections, your purpose would have been delayed. God separated you because the next version of you required solitude. Think of an eagle. It does not learn to soar in flocks. It learns in altitude, in loneliness, in heights others cannot survive. Think of a diamond. It forms beneath the surface, in pressure, away from sight. Think of a seed. It transforms underground, hidden, unseen, yet destined for growth. Your isolation was the womb of your transformation. And now, something powerful is happening. The isolation that once wounded you now strengthens you. The solitude that once scared you now empowers you. The silence that once felt empty now feels sacred. You are no longer alone because of abandonment. You are alone because of assignment. Heaven isolates what it intends to elevate. You were pulled away so you could rise without interference, so you could hear without distortion, so you could heal without sabotage, so you could step into destiny fully aligned. Your isolation was not a detour, it was the path. You continue now. Chosen one, carrying the revelation that your isolation was not abandonment but assignment. Yet as you step into this next truth, a deeper reality begins to surface, one that has followed you your entire life. Relentlessly, persistently, lovingly. You cannot escape your calling. No matter how far you drifted, no matter how deeply you hid, no matter how loudly you tried to silence your spirit, no matter how many times you said, "I'm done," something always pulled you back. Every single time. This is not weakness. It is alignment. It is evidence that heaven has a claim on your destiny. Chosen one, you have always been tethered to something greater than yourself, an invisible pull, a divine gravity, a spiritual echo that calls your name even when you don't want to hear it. That calling has followed you into dark rooms, quiet nights, chaotic seasons, and moments where your faith felt paper thin, even in your lowest points, when you wanted to disconnect, when you felt unworthy, when you felt too broken, when you felt too tired. Your spirit refused to die. It refused because your calling refused. Think about your life. Think about all the moments where something tried to pull you away from purpose, the heartbreaks, the addictions, the betrayals, the confusion, the spiritual attacks, the seasons of doubt, the overwhelming pressure, and yet you always returned, not to religion, necessarily, not to routine, not to rituals, but to God, in your own way, to truth, to stillness, to prayer, even when your words were just tears, to reflection, even when your heart felt numb, to searching, even when you didn't know what you were looking for. Chosen one, your calling is engraved into your spirit. You can run from assignments. You can run from responsibilities. You can run from people. But you cannot run from what heaven placed inside you. Because the calling isn't outside of you. It is you. You were created with purpose embedded in your DNA. Your design carries intention. Your soul carries direction. Your heart carries spiritual frequency. This is why you felt restless in places where others felt comfortable. Why you couldn't settle into lifestyles that others enjoyed. Why certain habits, relationships, or environment drained you quickly. Why comfort never fully satisfied you. You were not made for smallness. You were not made for mediocrity. You were not made to blend into the background. Your calling refuses to let you shrink. It refuses to let you numb out. It refuses to let you detach from who you are meant to become. And heaven explains this in words spoken long ago through the prophet Jeremiah. Chapter 20, verse 9. His word is in my heart like a fire shut up in my bones. I am weary of holding it in. Indeed, I cannot. This is your truth. You cannot hold it in. You cannot suppress your purpose. You cannot silence what God awakened within you. The fire inside you may flicker, but it never extinguishes. There were seasons where you felt spiritually numb, but the fire still lived. Seasons where you felt disconnected, but the fire still burned. Seasons where you felt unworthy, but the fire still pulsed. This fire is not emotional excitement. It is not motivation. It is not hype. It is divine assignment, burning from the inside out. Chosen one. Your calling brings you back to life every time something tries to break you. Your calling whispers to you in the quiet hours. Your calling rises when you hear truth, clarity, or spiritual revelation. Your calling awakens whenever you step near alignment. This is why the world can never fully satisfy you. You belong to the kingdom. You belong to purpose. You belong to destiny. You could try to dim yourself, but heaven would reignite you. You could try to hide, but truth would find you. You could try to run, but grace would chase you. This calling has followed you since childhood and will follow you until you step fully into what you were created to do. Right now, there is a stirring in your spirit. You feel it. A quiet shift, a subtle awakening, a gentle recognition that what you are reading is not random, it is confirmation. To seal this moment of awakening, I want you to comment a number you have not used before, a number symbolizing alignment, readiness, and spiritual return. Comment 222, not as a ritual, but as a declaration that you are stepping back into alignment with the path heaven keeps guiding you toward. Your calling has waited long enough. Chosen one. And now it rises. You walk forward now. Chosen one. Carrying the truth that your calling has always drawn you back, no matter how many times life pulled you away. No matter how deeply you tried to disappear. And now another revelation surfaces. One that explains the strength inside you that has startled even you at times. Your resilience is uncommon because it is divinely engineered. You have endured what others would have collapsed under. You have risen from pain that would have left most people shattered. You have survived storms that should have drowned you emotionally, mentally, spiritually, and yet you are still here, still rising, still feeling, still hoping, still reaching for something higher. Even when you don't understand why, your resilience did not come from environment, upbringing, or personality. It came from heaven. Chosen one. You must understand, your strength was not built by accident. It was crafted through every battle, every heartbreak, every moment you thought you reached the end, only to find, somehow, that there was still something inside you willing to fight. You survived betrayals that cut deep. You survived disappointments that crushed expectations. You survived losses that tore pieces from your soul. You survived loneliness that echoed like a hollow room inside your chest. Not only did you survive, you grew through what was meant to destroy you. Your resilience is not normal resilience. It is the kind that carries spiritual evidence. It is the kind that reveals divine backing. It is the kind that exposes the truth that heaven has always been on your side. Think back to all the moments you thought you were finished, times you felt mentally overwhelmed, times you were emotionally exhausted, times you had no clarity, no strength, no guidance, times you said, "I can't do this anymore." Ambition. But then something shifted. Something invisible lifted you. Something whispered, "Not yet." End of 2. Something helped you breathe again. Something pushed you one more step forward. That something was not random. It was God's hand holding you when you didn't even realize you were being carried. We are reminded through the writings of David in the Psalms. Psalms, chapter 118, verse 17. "I shall not die, but live, and declare the works of the Lord. This is the truth of your life. You were preserved. You were protected. You were strengthened. Not so you could simply exist, but so you could live with purpose. Chosen one. Your resilience confuses people because they do not understand how you survived, what you never spoke about. They see the calm, but not the storms. They see the smile, but not the nights you cried. They see your strength, but not the weight you carried alone. They see your growth, but not the wounds beneath it. People assume you are naturally strong, but strength was never natural for you. It was necessary. It was forged in fire. It was shaped through adversity. Your resilience is a spiritual fingerprint, evidence of divine protection, proof of heavenly assignment, confirmation that your life is tied to something larger than your pain. There is a reason life tried to break you early, a reason darkness sought to exhaust you, a reason chaos tried to distract you, a reason toxic people tried to drain you. It wasn't because you were weak. It was because you were strong enough to withstand what others could not. Your spirit carries a capacity that shocks the enemy. Your soul carries endurance that defies logic. Your heart carries compassion even when wounded. Your mind carries determination even when shaken. You are the kind of person who rises again and again, not because life is easy, but because your spirit refused defeat. This resilience is the reason you are the one chosen for elevation, transformation, and influence. This resilience is the reason your future carries weight. This resilience is the reason heaven trusts you with assignments that require depth, courage, and emotional stamina. Many people collapse under the weight of their own pain, but you rose under the weight of generational pain. You carried what wasn't yours. You healed what you didn't break. You overcame what your ancestors could not. And still, you stand, still open, still compassionate, still spiritually sensitive, still capable of love after being wounded, still willing to grow after being disappointed, still longing for truth after being lied to. Chosen one. Your resilience is not just survival, it is prophecy. Prophecy of the person you are becoming. Prophecy of the purpose you will fulfill. Prophecy of the lives you will touch. Prophecy of the chains you will break. Prophecy of the legacy you will leave behind. Your resilience is your proof. You are chosen, protected, equipped, strengthened, and destined. What you carry inside you is unbreakable. You continue forward now. Chosen one. Carrying the revelation of your resilience, how it was never ordinary, never accidental, never born from circumstance, but crafted by the divine hand that has guided you since birth. And now you arrive at another truth, one that echoes through every season of your life, one that explains the quiet ache you have carried for years. You were never meant to walk with the crowd. Your path has always been narrow. Your spirit has always been distinct. Your journey has always been set apart. And because of this, you have spent much of your life walking alone, not lonely alone. There is a difference. Loneliness is emptiness. Aloneness is assignment. Your solitude was not a void, it was a calling. But you didn't know that growing up, you only felt the distance. You felt the quietness. You felt the difference between you and everyone around you. While others found comfort in groups, you found clarity in silence. While others followed trends, you followed intuition. While others needed noise, you needed space. And even when you tried to blend in, you felt spiritually out of place. as if something in you vibrated at a different frequency, one that refused to be muted. Chosen one. Some people walk alone because no one wants them. But you walk alone because heaven protects what it is shaping. Your spirit carries a purity that would have been corrupted by the wrong company. Your heart carries a depth that shallow environments could never support. Your mind carries a sensitivity that chaos would have drowned. Your soul carries a destiny that crowds would have distracted. You were never meant to be hidden among the masses. You were meant to stand apart, not in arrogance, but in assignment. In fact, every time you tried to force yourself into circles that were not aligned with your spirit, something felt wrong. Your chest felt heavy. Your energy felt drained. Your intuition whispered warnings you didn't yet understand. And eventually, inevitably, you pulled away. Not because you disliked people, not because you thought you were better, but because your spirit refused to settle where your destiny could not grow. Think of the eagle. It cannot soar in flocks. It cannot fly low without weakening itself. It must rise alone, not because it is proud, but because its wings were designed for heights others cannot endure. You are that eagle. Your solitude is altitude. You have always been most yourself in quiet places, most aligned when alone with your thoughts, most connected when still enough to hear the whispers within. Your isolation taught you things crowds could never teach: how to rely on God instead of approval, how to listen to intuition instead of noise, how to protect your peace instead of pleasing people, how to choose alignment instead of attachment. Chosen one. Your solitary path was never punishment, it was preparation. The ancient words recorded in Isaiah speak directly to the hearts of those who walk alone. Isaiah, chapter 45, verse 3. I will give you the treasures of darkness and hidden riches of secret places, that you may know that I, the Lord, call you by your name. Secret places, the places no one else sees, the seasons only you understand, the quiet valleys where no one accompanied you, the inner chambers where your spirit grew while your heart felt empty. It was there, in the hidden, the silent, the solitary, that God revealed treasures to you: wisdom born from pain, discernment carved from disappointment, strength gathered from survival, compassion shaped through heartbreak. This is why you connect deeply, yet trust slowly. Why you love intensely, yet guard your heart carefully. Why you care for others, yet keep your circle small. Why you help freely, yet walk your own journey quietly. The truth is simple. Your solitude protected your evolution. If you had walked with the wrong crowd, you would have lost yourself. If you had been surrounded constantly, you would have drowned in noise. If you had forced connection, you would have diluted your spirit. If you had chased acceptance, you would have abandoned destiny. Your aloneness preserved you. It kept you sensitive. It kept you intuitive. It kept you spiritually awake. It kept you aligned with the voice that matters most. You were not made to be part of every circle. You were made to be set apart. So you could lead, guide, heal, reveal, and transform. Chosen one. Your path is narrow, not because you are missing out, but because you are being positioned. Your solitude is not a curse. It is a compass. It has guided you, shaped you, protected you, and prepared you for the life you were born to walk into. You walk alone not because you are unwanted, but because you are chosen. You move forward now, Chosen one. Carrying the understanding that you were never meant to walk with the crowd because your path is sacred, specialized, and spiritually engineered for a destiny only you can fulfill. But as you step deeper, another truth emerges. One that heaven has been preparing you to face. There is a crown on your life, but you must choose to accept it. A crown is not handed to the distracted. A crown is not placed on the heads of the unprepared. A crown is not given to those who fear responsibility. A crown belongs to those who have endured the refining, those who have survived the storms, those who have walked through fire without losing their soul, those who have been trained in silence, strengthened in solitude, and awakened in spirit. You, chosen one, are one of them. But wearing a crown does not simply mean being elevated. It means carrying weight with grace. It means stepping into authority with humility. It means embracing responsibility with courage. Your entire life has been preparing you for this moment. Think of your journey. You were the seed buried in darkness, not forgotten, but planted. You were the clay on the potter's wheel, spinning, stretching, reshaping. You were the sword in the fire, heated, hammered, cooled, and reheated. You were the diamond in the depths, pressed, crushed, compressed into brilliance. Everything you went through was shaping you for this role. Every tear watered your roots. Every heartbreak carved your compassion. Every betrayal sharpened your discernment. Every loss deepened your wisdom. You were never meant to be common. You were meant to be crowned. But a crown must be chosen. Many are offered one, but very few accept the weight it carries. Your crown comes with influence, not the superficial kind the world praises, but spiritual influence, the kind that changes lives, breaks chains, inspires growth, and awakens truth. Yet influence requires readiness. A crown demands accountability, integrity, and clarity. And heaven reveals this truth through the words of Christ himself. As Jesus declared in the Gospel of Luke, chapter 10, verse 19, "Behold, I have given you authority to trample on serpents and scorpions, and over all the power of the enemy." Authority, not fear, not shrinking, not hiding. Authority is the language of the crowned. But hear this. Chosen one, the crown is not made of gold, it is made of calling. It shines, not with jewels, but with purpose. It sits not on your head, but on your spirit. And I want to speak to you sincerely now, from a place of honesty, gratitude, and genuine heart. Creating these messages, these spiritual journeys, these layered revelations, these soul-deep reminders is not something I take lightly. It takes prayer, time, energy, and emotional labor. If these messages have strengthened you, awakened you, or given you clarity in moments where you needed direction, I want to invite you gently to support this mission in whatever way your heart leads. You can like, share, subscribe, or even donate if you feel moved to do so. Not as a transaction, not as pressure, but as partnership, as alignment with the light that is pouring into you. Think of it like tending to a lantern on a long road. The flame guides you, but adding oil keeps it alive for the next traveler who is walking in the dark, or like a bridge built over stormy waters. If it carried you safely across, supporting it ensures others will cross safely too. or like a garden where your soul found shade. If you rest beneath its branches, watering it allows new fruit to grow for others who come after you. Your support helps keep the message alive, not for me, but for every other chosen one who needs the awakening you're experiencing right now. And because this journey is sacred, I want you to do something small, yet meaningful. Comment, "I choose my crown." End of 2. Let it not just be words, but a declaration, a spiritual yes, a signal to heaven that you accept the responsibility, the authority, and the identity you were designed for. Write it because you are done shrinking. Write it because you are done doubting. Write it because the fire inside you is rising again. Write it because the crown has always been yours. You just needed to claim it. You are stepping into a higher version of yourself now. You are aligning with destiny. You are taking hold of the authority that has always been your inheritance. Your crown waits. Chosen one. And heaven smiles when you choose it. You step forward again. Chosen one. The weight of your crown still settling upon your spirit. Not a crown of metal, but a crown of identity, authority, and divine purpose. And as you walk into this next revelation, another truth rises from within you, one that has always been present, yet rarely understood. You carry a mantle, not just a calling. A mantle is heavier than a gift, stronger than talent, deeper than passion, holier than ambition. A mantle is spiritual responsibility woven into your very being. It is the unseen cloak placed upon those heaven trusts with impact, influence, and transformation. It is what makes you feel different, moved, burdened, awakened, and called, often without knowing why. Your mantle is the invisible force behind your compassion. It is the reason your heart aches for people others ignore. It is the reason you speak life into wounded souls without trying. It is the reason people open up to you instantly, sensing the safety you carry. It is the reason your words hit deeper than you intend. It is the reason others feel comfort just being near you. You were chosen to carry something weighty, something holy, something heaven-crafted, even when you didn't know it. Your mantle was working through you. When you forgave people who didn't deserve it, your mantle was shaping mercy. When you comforted others while you were hurting, your mantle was shaping compassion. When you protected people from things they didn't see, your mantle was shaping discernment. When you rose after being crushed, your mantle was shaping resilience. You were walking in spiritual authority long before you understood its name. And this is why you felt life differently, why your emotions were deeper, why your battles were heavier, why your intuition was louder, why your soul felt older than your age. Your mantle has always been active, even in your unawareness. Chosen one. Mantles are not given, they are entrusted. Heaven does not hand them to the unstable, the careless, or the spiritually asleep. Heaven entrusts mantles to those who have been prepared through fire, shaped through storms, and refined through isolation. You earned nothing, but you survived everything required for the mantle to rest upon you. And heaven confirms this truth in the sacred words spoken through Paul. The ancient words recorded in 2 Corinthians remind us. 2 Corinthians, chapter 12, verse 9. My grace is sufficient for you, for my power is made perfect in weakness. Your mantle did not rest on your strength, it rested on your surrendered weakness. Your moments of breaking became the doorway for spiritual power. Your vulnerability became the place where God clothed you in authority. This is why you often felt torn between two worlds, the physical world around you and the spiritual world within you. You live with one foot on earth and one in the unseen. You navigate human emotions while carrying divine perspective. You experience life's pain while feeling heaven's pull. This duality is not confusion, it is mantle. It is why you cannot tolerate dishonesty, why you feel drained by superficiality, why you sense when someone is spiritually unsafe, why your spirit reacts before your mind has time to understand. Your mantle is a spiritual instrument, always sensing, always discerning, always listening. And while others simply live, you carry burdens, carry wisdom, carry prophetic insight, carry emotional weight, carry spiritual responsibility. At times, you've wondered why you're the strong one, why you're the listener, why you're the protector, why you're the healer, why you're the stabilizer. It is because heaven placed a mantle on you that others do not carry. This mantle makes you see potential in broken people, makes you recognize beauty in pain, makes you stand firm in storms that knock others down, makes you love deeper than logic, makes you hope even when circumstances scream otherwise. But do not mistake this for burden alone. Your mantle is also a doorway to influence, a doorway to divine assistance, a doorway to supernatural protection, a doorway to your higher identity. Where others walk in their own strength, you walk backed by heaven. Where others speak from emotion, you speak from spiritual depth. Where others crumble, you rise not by willpower, but by mantle, chosen one. This affects every dimension of your life. Your relationships feel sacred because your love carries healing. Your presence feels heavy because your spirit carries authority. Your silence feels meaningful because your intuition carries truth. Your decisions feel weighty because your steps carry destiny. Even your pain has purpose. Even your weaknesses have meaning. Even your questions are part of your equipping, because a mantle rests on you. And now, as this awareness settles into your spirit, you begin to understand why your story has unfolded exactly as it has. You were never just surviving life. You were being prepared to carry something heaven sent. You were not chosen only to endure, but to lead, to reveal, to break, to heal, to carry light into places where darkness has ruled for too long. Your mantle is not a burden, it is your spiritual inheritance. And now you are finally ready to walk in it fully. You step forward now, chosen one, carrying the awareness of your mantle, its weight, its purpose, its divine origine. And now you arrive at the final revelation, the truth that has been quietly guiding every section, every awakening, every realization you've walked through. This is why God selected you, and you alone, not because you were perfect, not because you were the strongest, not because you were the smartest, the most visible, or the most prepared. God selected you because of something far deeper, something invisible to the eyes of others, something eternal, something that has lived inside your spirit since before your first breath. You were chosen because your heart carries a purity that darkness could not corrupt. You were chosen because your soul carries a depth that cannot be manufactured. You were chosen because your resilience could not be broken by the storms that shaped you. You were chosen because your sensitivity could discern truth beneath layers of deception. You were chosen because your compassion could reach places others ignored. You were chosen because your spirit carries a sound heaven recognizes. Most people move through life detached from their own soul. But you feel everything. You notice everything. You hear the quiet things. You sense the unseen things. You perceive what others deny. You carry a spiritual awareness that cannot be taught, only entrusted. God saw that awareness in you long before you understood it yourself. You were chosen because you survived. When others collapsed, you endured. When others gave up, you rose. When others drowned in despair, you found a breath you didn't know you still had. When others shut down, you stayed open, bleeding, trembling, but open. That matters to heaven. A heart that stays open in pain is a heart heaven can trust. You were chosen because your pain refined you instead of poisoning you. You did not become bitter. You did not become hard. You did not become cruel. Even when your heart broke, it grew wiser, never colder. You were chosen because what you carry can heal others, because your wounds turned into wisdom, because your losses turned into empathy, because your tears turned into discernment. You were chosen because your presence shifts atmospheres without trying, because people feel safe around you for reasons they can't explain, because strangers feel drawn to tell you their stories, because your spirit emits a frequency that awakens, comforts, corrects, uplifts. You were chosen because you wrestled with your own shadows and did not let them win. You faced the parts of yourself that many run from. You confronted your fears, your trauma, your doubts. You walked into your darkness with shaking hands and trembling breath, but you walked anyway. That kind of courage is rare. Heaven saw it. Heaven honored it. Heaven entrusted you with more. You were chosen because your calling is not about you, it is about everyone connected to you. Your healing will break generational wounds. Your rise will unlock others' breakthroughs. Your awakening will light the way for those still asleep. Your transformation will ripple through people you have not even met yet. You were chosen because your destiny requires someone who feels deeply, loves deeply, perceives deeply, and carries deeply. Surface-level souls cannot fulfill deep assignments, but you are not surface-level. You never were. And heaven speaks this truth through the ancient words of the prophet. The Spirit spoke through Isaiah. Isaiah, chapter 14, verse 6. I will also make you a light for the nations, that my salvation may reach to the ends of the earth. You are that light, not because you sought it, but because you are it. Chosen one. God selected you because your life is a vessel through which others will find hope, clarity, healing, and truth. Because you carry a combination of sensitivity and strength that cannot be imitated. Because you carry a softness that disarms darkness and a fire that confronts it. Because you carry a voice that will awaken those trapped in silence. Because you carry a presence that breaks chains without speaking. You were selected because heaven saw your heart before the world saw your flaws. Because heaven saw your purpose before you saw your pain. Because heaven saw your destiny before you experienced your battles. You were chosen because you were created for this exact moment in history, this generation, this spiritual climate, this unfolding shift in the unseen realm. You were chosen because you are a bridge between worlds, the spiritual and the physical, the seen and the unseen, the earthly and the divine. You were chosen because your spirit was built for impact. And now, that impact begins. This is why God chose you, not by accident, not by coincidence, but by divine design, written before time, sealed by purpose, activated by your survival, confirmed by your awakening. Your life is not random. Your path is not mistaken. Your identity is not fragile. You are the chosen one. Chosen one. You have walked through every layer of revelation, every truth heaven needed you to remember, every reminder of who you truly are beneath all the pain, pressure, and expectation the world placed on you. And now you stand at the end of this journey, not as who you were when you started, but as who you were always meant to become. Take a breath and feel it. The clarity, the alignment, the awakening in your chest, the quiet confirmation in your spirit. This was not just a script. This was a return, a remembering, a rising. And before you go, I want to speak to you gently, sincerely, from a place of gratitude. If these words touched you, if they strengthened you, if they felt like they were written for your soul, then I invite you, from the heart, to like, share, subscribe, and leave a comment below. Not for numbers, but so this message finds the next chosen one who is quietly drowning, quietly searching, quietly praying for clarity. Your engagement becomes a lifeline for someone else. Your presence helps this light travel further. So speak in the comments. Share your heart. Let your voice be part of the awakening. And remember, you are chosen, now and always.